Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 100th episode of Outside of the
Woo!
Box in just over a year, which is insane. But, I like to be busy. And, when I thought about what am I going to do for my 100th episode, I know I did a poll and I asked, but really, I don't think it would have been right had I not had Zach and Diana from Skorpios back on the show after being the first ones to ever come on the show. So welcome back.
Thank you for having us back. We're honored to be here again.
It's good to be back.
Yes.
Yes. So it's been a long time. Well, I mean, I've had you on since then, but over the course of time, obviously a lot of things have changed on the show. I have a lot more fanciness going on that I once did. So that's an exciting thing. Always onward and upward. It's the whole evolution aspect, which is something that BattleBots is well familiar with. So we'll obviously talk about the season, everything, just wrapped up with the fight nights. Obviously, we're headed into the round of 32, and Skorpios has had an interesting season.
What are you talking about?
That is a word for it.
I didn't put a silly sword on the robot and embarrass myself on national television. That didn't happen.
Hey, I will share my opinions about that, which may be different than other people's opinions. But that's, it happens. So, and we'll talk about Dragon King too. I really want to talk about Dragon King because, coming with two robots, and that's exciting. So let's talk about Skorpios first. And I know you had to be happy coming into the season with a win against Jackpot, who is always a tough robot to fight. I mean, this was a big season for them because in the past, they haven't really gotten so many fights. And of course, this year, every team got 4 fights. So I'm sure they were raring to go. But you were able to get in there and come out with a win in that fight and get a KO. I mean, how happy were you to have that result coming straight out the gate?
We hit the jackpot in Vegas.
Sorry, you literally did.
And it went poof.
No, this
took a while, but it did go poof.
This was a really good moment for us because we've never really done well against verticals, and we've been trying since our first lockjaw fight to come up with a configuration that could do well against verticals, and
this was working.
It worked. It did what it was supposed to do. We got a good KO. Like Zach said, they eventually caught fire, which we're sorry, but also that's really cool. Worked. The weapon worked. So it was a nice way to start our new season.
Yeah. And that we did officially cause that fire. We crushed their electronics box because that we put a video up on the builder blog of going over to see Jeff, and right where we punctured, that was where the electronics were.
But the one that caught fire was not the one by the puncture.
It was the second hit.
It was it was the one
we dented it in.
It was really when Jeff was explaining to us what happened, the hit did cause the fire, but it was the second one in from where the actual puncture was. So it was really interesting. Electronics are crazy.
These are the important things in BattleBots, though, to make sure that that you did cause the fire. It was not caused by an external source.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was great, obviously. And then going into the second match versus Big Dill. Now, not that I don't think I've ever considered Big Dill a robot to sleep on in the past, because E-Man is so good with that robot, but also Big Dill has a weapon this season, an actual spinny weapon. And so
ones to get a taste of that.
Yep.
Did that change your strategy at all going into the fight?
Okay, so
we had to cut our tire off to get it off our robot.
To understand this, he told Hijinks he would have that weapon, and they were going to be the first ones to get to fight.
No, they were going to use the hammer saw against Hijinks.
But that still works on their frame with the weapon motor.
Okay. Sorry.
But they couldn't get it working, and so they went with the old Big Dill. So the one that fought Hijinks is the old one. And they were giving us a similar story of like, oh no, we're going to get the vertical working. You're going to get that. And when I talked to Jim, he's like, oh yeah, he said that before my fight too. And I'm like, we're probably going to get the old one. And I was very wrong on that assumption.
Yep, we got the brand new shiny Big Dill with the weapon and all the new stuff. And
yes, and he was winning that match. I will fully admit, because I brought it something everyone is like, you were driving so bad in the jackpot match. What was up with that? We tried all these new magnets, and it was like having a 2-year-old on the stick with me. And what's like, I designed the forks to be able to go over the kill saw slots, but what I didn't consider at the time was over the kill saw slots, you lose all your magnet force. So every time I drove over them, all of a sudden, all the force would drop off one side and the robot would veer heavily to the left or right. And so for Big Dill, I'm like, we just need to drive okay. Let's put the trusty classic wedges on with no magnets. And yeah, I really wish I had some magnets fighting Big Dill, because he was just clunked to the floor. And we are lucky. He was kind of Icarus flying too close to the sun. Big powerful weapon, big powerful lifter, big powerful drivetrain, and his poor little batteries were like, too much. And we gave one tap to make sure he was done, and then we backed off and he got counted out. It's like a zombie movie. You just do one tap to make sure they're done, and then you back off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's a good plan. But yeah, I mean, you got the KO win. That's 2-0. That's pretty good start to the season there.
And we don't need to talk about the third fight. I think we can
do.
just hop right over.
Skipping over the third fight.
We do need to talk about it.
Third fight didn't happen.
I'm still getting death threats from the third match of people telling me how disappointed they are about that fight.
Wow. I thought that stopped a while ago.
That is terrible. That is so terrible. I mean, like, really though, as someone who is a deep, massive fan of Overkill, like, I cannot even emphasize how much that if I had a 250-pound robot and it would support putting Overkill's blade on it, there is no power in the world that would stop me from doing that if I had the opportunity to do so. So, I get it. And it's so tough going up against Sawblaze and JMO, because even if you have, your normal configuration, whatever the case may be, he is so difficult to beat. So for me, I understood the decision and I fully supported the decision, and it makes me sad that so many fans didn't understand that.
Well, and the thing that they don't realize too is the way our forks got stuck in the screw. Even if we had our hammer saw on our robot, we were still going to get stuck in the screw.
Because if you watch, the screw is turning and Jameson throws us into it, and the screws hook the new forks in such a way they had to use crowbars to get us out of the arena, because we got that stuck into it.
So like and the sword itself actually did what we wanted it to do. One inch
from that chain. And I just want to point out how easy it is to break chains. Everyone's like, that sword would have never done any damage. Tantrum's chain in last night's fight just touched a spike and fell off. And so if we had just gotten the sword into the chain,
who knows?
His weapon would have stopped working, and that would have been 5 points of damage.
So, I mean, like, we're sorry that the fans that are mad didn't get the fight that they wanted, but at the same time, if you look at the way our forks got stuck in the screw, the fight was going to be a short fight anyway. But
yeah, the sword at least gave us reach. There was a real tactic. I've had a lot of people accuse me of throwing that match on purpose.
No, absolutely not.
I really wanted to win that. I genuinely thought the sword was going to win that match.
Mm-hmm.
And please just go watch the Tantrum Whiplash fight. Chains die easily. It only takes one spiky thing in a chain to kill it. And we were that close to Jameson's chain.
Yes. I mean, I think that, challenging problems sometimes require creative solutions, and I absolutely saw that as a creative solution. So yeah,
Thank you.
That is my opinion. But I recognize not everybody feels that way. But it's, it went the way that it did. But I mean, it's like I said, it's Sawblaze. Like it's a very difficult robot to beat, period.
Right.
So yeah, and you had to kind of move on from that. Although the for me, the interesting thing was that, and I have so many questions about this, about the last fight versus Ribot, because, you have an 0-3 Ribot, which does not happen. But, I think that I'm sure that you weren't looking at that record and thinking that it was going to be an easy match, because they knew that they had to do something in order to have any chance of getting into the tournament. So it was going to be like fight for your life type of situation. And that's really what they did. And it broke my heart, because I obviously, like, I love both teams tremendously, but I know that you both looked really disappointed after the match was over. And so, yes, I see. Yeah. So, I mean, like, that had to be tough, especially following that Sawblaze fight and then, like, not getting that third win.
Yeah,
we both made a lot of driving errors in that fight. So our disappointment was not necessarily for losing the fight. It was losing the fight the way we lost the fight, because we were in a corner of the arena with Ribot where I couldn't see very well. And I made a decision, a split-second decision that totaled the entire robot. Like, nothing of that robot is salvageable, because I made that split-second decision to lower the weapon directly into Ribot's weapon, which I didn't realize I was doing at the time. But obviously, when you're watching it on TV and they are nice enough to show you all the different angles that you don't have access to when you're in the driver box, you go, oh no, Diana, what are you doing? That is a really bad idea.
Yeah, after the initial hit, the backlash that went through the robot, we've gone weapon to weapon with big robots before, but we've never gone like our saw coming down and their blade coming up a full, because when we hit Tombstone's weapon at full speed,
it was fine. 3 times, it was fine.
It was traveling that direction and we came down on top of it. The backlash completely destroyed the arm and the weapon system, and we lost the gearbox, the motor, the belts, the power that fed back through the system was ridiculous.
Yeah. A+ job, Ribot. That was...
Ribot told me they went back to like all their old stuff in order to do this fight and try to win this fight. And I had a feeling I was fighting Ribot this year just because of the fable of the scorpion and the frog. I'm like, Chris and Kitty are going to want that as a talking point, and we're going to have to fight Ribot. And so I actually had a super evil plan, even worse than my Sawblaze plan that we didn't do. And
because Ribot was having such a rough season, we didn't want to like make it harder for them. But anyway, here's Zach's plan.
So they play a horrible game in the pit of like, are we going to do vertical or horizontal, vertical or horizontal? And they'll switch back and forth. They play this terrible guessing game with you. It's the reason I brought 4 ready robots, was I wanted to do it even worse to Ribot than they've ever done to anyone else. So I was going to have one teammate roll up with a Skorpios with one configuration on it and go, hey guys, this is the one we're using. Do you want to measure it? Do you want to look at it? Go ahead. And then waste like 15 minutes of their time showing it to them. Then that teammate would roll away with that one Skorpios. And then 5 minutes later, our next teammate would come in and go, no, we decided to change. Here's the Skorpios we're now using with the horizontal configuration and the thing. And then we were going to roll in, that guy would finish, he'd roll out. Then we'd roll in the third Skorpios with the sword and be like, no, we've decided this is the one we're going to. And while this is going on, the first one was going to have everyone work on it to reconfigure it. And so then we'd roll the fourth Skorpios in with the sawing arm on it and the catch armor and go, no, this is the one we're using. Then we were going to roll in Dragon King with a Skorpios face magneted to it and be like, we did a big change. We're treads now. And then at this point, it's been more than an hour of us rolling new Skorpioses in. And then a 5th Skorpios. So they're going to be like, where did this come from? With the anti-vertical armor, that was going to roll in. And I was hoping to reconfigure 2 of them during all of these shenanigans so they would see 7 different robots. And I just wanted to give them a taste of their own medicine, but we didn't do any of this because they had been having a bad year.
Yes.
Until us, they did a really good job against us.
I let them focus, and I'm just too much of a nice guy.
That is true. You were very nice people. But yeah, no, that would have been pretty funny, honestly. I'm not sure how funny they would have found it, but I think it's pretty funny. So you end up at 2-2. And, obviously we're not going to, get into what happens in the tournament, but I am just curious what your initial reaction was to, oh, we're fighting Huge. Because in any season, I think Huge is an interesting problem for anybody to try and solve. But in a season where they're 4-0 and looking honestly, I felt looking at everything, that was one of the toughest draws in the entire bracket. That was my reaction.
Out of all the top robots, they were the actual one I wanted.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna get someone in the top 10.
Yep.
And I was
so we focused on who made it into who was in the top 10. And
I was like, I'd actually really like Huge because he thinks he's above it all, but our hammer saw is one of the few weapons in the field that can reach him way up there.
And that's why he didn't want to fight us. I've talked to Huge and joked around with that team for a while about wanting to fight them. So I might have been the reason why I don't know. Who knows why the
Stop telling Chris and Kenny things.
I don't talk to Chris and Kenny. You do, Captain. No. But I don't know. I am excited about this fight. I like Huge.
So our big strategy is we're adopting what Whiplash did. Whiplash box rushes and then just rent space under Huge so he can't spin up. And we're like, hey, we're good at that. We're going to do that. And I have to stop right there because if I say anything else,
spoilers.
It's spoilers. But this was my honest impression when we found out we've got Huge. And it was the plan I made.
I mean, it seems like a pretty logical plan. We will see within the next couple of weeks whether that pans out. But yeah, so we cannot say anything more about Skorpios in terms of World Championship 7. However, I do want to shift briefly over to Dragon King, which I was tremendously excited about because I love dragons. And this just everything, it has the the head and just the way that it moves. I mean, like I love everything about it. And
Jerome did a wonderful job with this robot. It is beautiful.
And I want you to know they cut out the best part of every Dragon King match.
They did.
Which was the after interviews, where we mostly just roared and interrupted everyone.
Everyone.
Chris and Kitty.
Although we didn't. Wingeding and Numbskull.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it wasn't you.
It wasn't
was
us.
Two completely different people named Wingeding and Numbskull.
Yeah, they were the guardian dragons of Dragon King.
Yes,
we can't. Nobody can control them. Not even Will. You see how well he like. Actually, the thing I enjoyed the most was so our first walk-in, which they cut out both of our tunnel walks too, but the first walk-in, Will has borrowed David Small from Banshee. He had a sword, so Will borrows his sword and knights Wingeding and Numbskull. So technically Wingeding and Numbskull are sirs, Sir Wingeding and Numbskull. And there was some technical difficulty before our Doomba fight, and two of the teammates on Doomba were waving their flag, and Wingeding started running through it like a bull and a matador, and entertained the crowd for a while.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that story now from both perspectives. Because the Doomba team was kind enough to take me through that whole process, and I'm like, why was this not shown? This should have been on TV.
And the cutest part was at the end, Wingeding got really tired and laid down, and then the Doomba team members tucked her in under the flag. And then they all got yelled at by production for being on the on the stage floor.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just, I'm curious because, Doomba and Terratops, both new bots for this season, very different bots. How were those matches for you? I thought it was funny because I was talking to Doomba and I'm like, did you know that you were going to get the chain there? And they were like, well, once we saw that we had it, then we were like, yep, we're going to try and get that chain.
I was honestly pretty nervous about both of these draws because Doomba has their undercutter, and I was nervous
we didn't know
about
what the treads would handle that or not.
Exactly. And I was nervous about Terratops because Terratops is a vertical spinner. But I will tell you, I was talking with Ben. Ben rated the lifter to only lift 125 pounds. So none of us on the driver box knew that sumoplex could happen. So all of us were equally surprised when that sumoplex happened. And honestly, I think that is one of the best moments. Just that super clean sumoplex by Terratops on Dragon King.
I was actually, so Dragon King was last
yes.
alternate.
A lot of robots had to not work for Dragon King to even be considered for a fight.
Because we talked. We wanted BattleBots to give us more pit space, and we're like, hey, you're only bringing 50 robots this year. How about an extra one you don't have to pay for, but just give us more pit? And
they said, okay.
They're like, a robot we don't have to pay for. Sold. But we were put on the very bottom of the alternate list.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of more of a ploy to get more pit space for the 4 Skorpioses. And I didn't actually think it was going to fight. I really didn't think it was going to fight. And then when they put us on the fight cards, we're like, oh, it's a good thing that thing turns on and it works. BattleBots did require, before we brought it, a full video showing the robot was completely functional, could self-right, and do everything.
So while Zach and I went to play with Legos like a week before leaving for BattleBots, we went to the Lego convention in Seattle. Will and Andy came to the shop and worked on getting Dragon King up and running. So
it just a quick reminder, we did win the Lego Giant Nuts at the Battle Bricks convention.
Yeah, we did. With Duck. Sorry, Zach.
I hate you. She made Skorpios get second place. I'm like, it's our robot, Diana. You were fighting me. How did our robot lose?
Because I was driving.
Yeah, keeping it.
Okay.
uh,
anyway,
that's on the Builder blog. It's the Battle Bricks convention. It's a lot of fun. It was more fun than I thought it was going to be. Okay.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, like, I truly, like, I love all of the different things that you both are involved in, you know, outside of BattleBots. These bot bash parties and seeing all of the pictures from those. I mean, it looks like so much fun. And, you know, after seeing you do it, I'm like, why wouldn't somebody do this type of party? I mean, it seems very logical to me.
Today was actually a really big day. For the first time since before the pandemic, we had four arenas out in the field.
48 robots. I haven't slept in 3 days.
That is why you're getting the unfiltered Zach you're getting. No sleep.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Just put some coffee in me.
Yeah, exactly. That's all anyone ever needs. Yeah, no, that's really awesome. It's a cool way to still be involved in robots when it's, you know, technically the off season.
Right. No, it's a lot of fun, and getting to see that moment when a kid gets a robot, understands what it's supposed to. You can see like a switch flip where they get it and they're excited and they're watching it do the thing, and it's wonderful. I love it. I'm glad that we do this.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And you both, obviously you went to Robo Games, yes. And that seemed like a great time. I mean, I think a lot of people were really excited that came back, and it seemed like there were a lot of really good fights that happened during that.
Yeah, so we didn't get to spend much time in the big arena area because for the first time in the history of Robo Games, they had the insect arena and the big arena in 2 different buildings.
Yeah, I wish I could show you what the gold, silver, and bronze looks like, but we only won gold. Yeah. Whoop.
So, but yeah, there were some. I heard there were some big moments in the big arena.
Yeah. And
there were some. Go ahead.
And a rookie robot won Robo Games, which I cannot honestly remember the last time a rookie won the heavyweight division.
Led by a teenager.
He
is the youngest person to take gold as a heavyweight driver in the history of Robo Games.
It's a 25-year history. It's insane.
He was on the Malice team for, I think he is still on the Malice.
Actually, I remember when he was in the junior
league. And he actually like fought with in the junior league. Yeah. And yeah. We remember Tsunami, his little baby drum that
grew up
into Manta.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be having Nick on the show pretty soon too. So
nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
Very nice.
But yeah, Robo Games was definitely a cool event. You know, what else do you both have in the works up until whenever BattleBots happens again?
Well,
I work at my parents' tax firm,
so no one wants to hear that.
I get to deal with taxes.
Well, we're gonna say what every single BattleBots driver says, and I really want the fans to know. None of us show up to BattleBots and like, I'm gonna do mediocre this year and just try to see what happens. No, none of us say that. We all say the same thing, which is why production has such a hard time sorting out good teams from bad teams. We all say we're gonna make it better and it's gonna win the nut next time. That's what all 50 teams try for. And so I'm gonna say the same thing. Well, our plan is we're going to make it better and it's gonna win the nut next time.
And that's assuming we don't win the nut this time.
Yes. Yes.
Who knows?
That it's very possible. I mean,
maybe we have a giant nut sitting with our giant bolt. All right.
It could absolutely be. You know. But yeah, I mean, like I think that really this season, if anything, I've spoken about this a number of times, but I think that it has broken this idea that a certain type of robot is gonna, win matches. Like we've seen so many matches or like just seasons that people have had that you wouldn't necessarily expect based on what they've done in the past. And I think that that's great.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see the ebb and flow of the field, and like it makes it less predictable in a way.
Right. Oh yeah, I probably shouldn't show this off yet. That's right. You didn't see anything here.
Yeah, nothing to see.
It's literally not a fake nut made by Proto Labs. It's
not at all.
Because most people can definitely handle the real giant nut with one hand, resting on like one finger.
Yeah. Most people have that kind of arm strength.
Exactly.
And just for the story, so no one speculates where this and how we got this. We've done trade shows for BattleBots where people hire BattleBots and then we bring mini robots. And then this is literally the prop nut we were given by BattleBots to whoever wins the trade show tournament.
They get to hold it up like the winners of the giant nut do on the TV show.
So
I win.
So anyway, that's why we have that.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, and one last thing that I wanted to ask you both about, just to hear about that, because it's a different thing for BattleBots, and I think last time I talked to you it wasn't a thing, but like the Destructathon and like the Proving Grounds and all of that, because this is something that is new to BattleBots. They've never done this before, and it's definitely generated a lot of buzz, and it provides an avenue for people to see combat robotics that probably wouldn't otherwise, which is kind of neat to me.
Yeah. No, we went the very first weekend of the live show, and I thought it was really good. I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. I thought the fights were good.
No other show in Vegas is like this. Stuff goes boom, and sometimes it's not supposed to, which makes it extra entertaining. They say they don't know what's going to happen, and they really don't. The audience will be safe. They know the audience will be safe. The cameras and lights inside the arena, not so safe.
Some of those things may have had to get replaced, a couple times.
Yep. Because stuff flies off of the robots and you can't predict that. But I thought it was really entertaining. I think Proving Grounds is kind of a cool idea. I think it'll be nice for teams to be able to have a place to go and test stuff before going to BattleBots and having it break in a weird way in the arena on TV. And I think it's smart. I think I like it.
Yep.
Live show is fun, is entertaining.
It's a lot of fixing for them.
It's a lot of fixing, but they have a good team of people that seem to be doing a really good job with it. So I think
they got some builders on the crew. That's what they needed.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure. People that have worked with these robots and really know, what needs to be done to keep them running the way that they need to be, for sure. Then I want to make sure, because I've been doing this on every show and I think it's so important, please shout out to your sponsors.
Van Bever Brothers, All Wells, Testbot,
Manzoni Trucking,
Mag Motors,
Castle,
Scorpion Motors,
Hot Bash,
and MaxAmp Batteries. There, I read it off the shirt.
Oh, you said Mag Motor, right?
Yes, it's that one right there.
You have the shirt that makes it really convenient to have that information there. Yes. So yes,
we couldn't do this without them.
Yep.
We would have stopped long ago without our sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors.
Yay, sponsors. Yes, and what I have are subscribers, and I appreciate every single person who subscribes to this show and listens to it. And if you haven't subscribed already and you're watching this, please do.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
What
works for us is we promised to blow up a car when we hit 10,000. Have you tried that yet?
I have not. Now, I'm not sure that I have the means to blow up a car, but if fans have any thoughts on something that I could feasibly do and say, I will do this if I hit this number of subscribers, then give me an idea. I'm happy to consider anything within reason.
That's an important caveat you just
within
said.
Reason. After
you're making me realize that somehow blowing up a car was within reason for us. I'm not sure how that happened. I need to go read my life.
But yes, so please, keep supporting combat robotics and all of that good stuff. It's great. It's a great community and it deserves the love. So everybody keep watching. And yeah, by the time this airs, I think we'll already have had a couple of rounds of the tournament and stuff. So pretty soon we're gonna have a new champion. It might be Skorpios. We'll see.
We'll see.
Am I supposed to go get the giant nut now?
Everybody, we will see you next time on the show.